Today we're kerfing this board to put it up inside of an arch, and I made this jig. I'll show you what it is. We just invented it right now because necessity is the mother of invention, they say. And it's a real simple CA jig. We just had the CA glue here and glued it together. This board is 12 3/4. It's too wide to kerf on the miter saw. Kerfing this on the miter saw would have been so much easier. And I'll make a video and show you how to kerf on the miter saw. But basically, I'm about to put this respirator on. Set it right there for now. I've got my circular saw set to the depth of cut. And I have the guard clamped up with the fence. So this isn't OSHA approved or anything. It's a little dangerous if you're clumsy with it, but if you just have common sense, it's easy. But here's what a kerf is. We marked on this board, there's my jig. We mark on this board every ½ inch. So I'll stretch that tape over there and you can see these lines. 56.5, 57, 57.5, 58, 58.5, 59, all the way down. And we started off with just this board glued. Actually, we started with a little speed square, but it was way too small. So then we just made this 90 right here, and I was like fighting to move it over. So then I glued this little handle on and I could slide it, but it would get caught up and weird. I needed a handle more in the center. So now I can make a cut, slide this over, take the saw out, slide it over, make a cut, slide it over, and it's perfect right here. And then I noticed this was kind of like, it was hard for me to keep this pushed up. So then I just glued this board on here. So it just hugs the board and it's like a little sled for kerfing. So I'm on that cut right there. I know you probably can't see this, but what I do is I just move to the next marking that I made. So the next ½ inch. Then I make that cut, then I move to the next ½ inch. And since these markings are spaced, if I line it up here, the blade is going to be spaced a ½ inch everywhere. And then you can see right here, I cut through this board too, because I want to get that cut all the way through. So I'll go ahead and make a few cuts and show you how this works. So where am I at again? So I'm right there. And I'm gonna not wear my respirator for a minute just so I can talk. So I'll go ahead and push this cut all the way through. And since I don't have a blade guard, I'm gonna stop right there and just let the blade stop, because you don't want to bring it back and then, cut your knee. I make sure to stay like on this side of the fence with my body. And the brake on this thing is giving out. So that's even a little more weird. So now that I made that cut, I'm going to slide over and then I'll make a few so you can see how this is working in real time. But that's basically the principle of it. I'm gonna go into my respirator now. And I gotta get this thing cut. Ooh, you heard that? That was that brake giving out. Well, another thing we did, you can hear that brake getting out. Freaking rigid. Oh, I don't know if you can understand me. Another thing we did was we laid this 1/8 inch Yucca board down, because this, underneath this is the finished side of our material. And if you lay it on this concrete and you move it around, it's like freaking 60 grit sandpaper, this concrete, and it'll damage your material. So anytime we do this, on the ground. We're gonna lay a Yucca board out for it. Man, if mechanics are grease monkeys, we're definitely dust bunnies. We gotta sweep all this up. Last cut. My jig broke right at the end, so I didn't glue it back. When I picked it up, I kind of dropped it and it broke, but it got me through it, and now I can send it back to Craig. So here's what we end up with. Now that I got this whole board kerfed, we should be able to see it flex in both directions. We are gonna flex it like an arch like this. So you see that bend in it? That's really all we need. That's about we got an eyebrow arch in there, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's shaped pretty much like an eyebrow, and that's what we need. So right now, we're gonna take it in, we're gonna dust it off, probably run the vacuum over it so it doesn't just fall out in the house, all that dust, and then install it. And I hope I measured it right. I made it a little long, hopefully, so if I need to trim it, I just do not want it to be short. It's always a nervous thing with these pieces because, like I was saying earlier, I don't want to cut 230 more cuts because I'm an inch short or something, but I think we'll be good. What we do when we measure it is we put a piece of masking tape in the arch. We should have probably showed you this, but we put a piece of masking tape up in the arch and cut it with the razor blade both ends, and then pull that tape off and lay it on the board, and then we cut it. Real simple way. But it'll also bend this way, so if you wanted it to bend that way, you can see that. It'll flex like that too. I know people hate MDF, but it does have its advantages. Super smooth, can't beat the smoothness of it. Well, I'm not gonna say you can't beat the smoothness of it, but it's a good, smooth board for paint grade stuff, and it flexes for stuff like this. So we'll take it in, set the camera up on a tripod, and see if we can get this thing in. I think you need to push up above your head more. There you go. Ooh, it's looking pretty good. It's too tight for you, right? It's a little too tight for you. I'm like looking pretty good over here. I'll shave it a little bit more. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Or, it got pretty loose when we just did that. Yeah. Does it look like you can see a lot of light, or is it hugging pretty good over there?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe there you go. That's tight.
That's tight all around?
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, look.
It is good.
You see it?
Yeah, it's good. Mine's gonna be good too. So now, yeah, mallet and hammer and block. And I can hit once and you can hit once. All right, you wanna just hold it for a second? Go ahead, I'm in more than you. That's good. Cool. Awesome. So we got the arch kerf board in, and it's getting kind of dark in here, but everything came together pretty tight, and you can see the advantage of that kerf. Let me see, it's a little bit better over here in the light. Just eliminates the texture and makes it super smooth. All right, so we got that board in. We got it up in the arch, that kerf board. That was a challenge. I cut it long because there has been that nightmare where I cut the board too short and I made all those cuts and it was too short. So I had to make all those cuts again. So I cut it about 3/4 of an inch longer. And what we did was we tried to fit it, and then we cut a blade off. Then we tried to fit it, and we kind of just creeped our way into that perfect fit where you saw us hitting it. I had that flooring mallet and John had the mini sledge with the block. And that's what we did. It's really just a game of finesse. So hopefully you found this video entertaining and learned something from it. And that's gonna do it for this one. We'll see you all in the next video. Take care.